Welcome, business owners. We are here to make you feel uncomfortable. That's what I said, uncomfortable. We hope that you hear something today that will get you to say, oh, I've got to do that better in my day-to-day operations. We want you to find ways that you can avoid getting yourself in a very messy legal situation. So my name's Dana Ball. I'm a small business attorney here in the state of Utah, and this is broadcast number 16. And today we are talking about employees, or are they independent contractors? Are you paying your workers correctly? Have you misclassified them? If you have, the penalties are fierce and they add up quick. So please think about this and take note today. We want you to be protected. So a lot of people think of this as a 1099 employee versus a W-2 employee. I don't want to refer to the independent contractors or freelancers or those that you issue a 1099 to as an employee, because employees are truly employees. They get paid through your payroll, they get W-2s. When you pay an employee through payroll, you are paying payroll taxes, you're doing their withholdings that are required for unemployment and Social Security. You're doing things right. So today is to figure out if you're misclassifying some of your workers, that you may be paying them as independent contractors. You may be issuing them 1099s when really they're employees. And that's the rub. That's where you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. Okay. The freelancer workforce is growing 3 times as faster than normal employment workforce in the United States. And I think it's growing so fast because our society today, you've got companies that are popping up, and it's easy. It's easy to put yourself out there as a worker with expertise, and you just want to take on short gigs or work-based projects and then be done. Or as a company, it's easy to put together a team to help you get through a tough project. So it's different than the traditional workforce in the U.S. that we're seeing. There's more flexibility for both sides, the worker and the company. And for the company, the benefit of not paying a worker as an employee is, 1, you avoid payroll taxes, you avoid paying overtime, you don't have the cost of what normal employee benefits cost you if you do offer benefits to your employees, all while getting the labor you need at a moment's notice. So certainly, there are benefits, and certainly it does make sense in certain situations. But we're going to talk about what those situations are where it does make sense so that you don't get into the trouble that you can get into. And we're going to talk about that first. So if you are audited, if a worker goes and files a claim against you to say with the, in Utah it's the UALD, if they say, hey, you know what, we're being paid as independent contractors, I'm getting a 1099, but I think I'm really an employee. If that happens, take a deep breath, because here's what's coming. You will be audited by the government. You'll be audited by the Department of Labor, the UALD, the IRS, as well as other government entities. So brace yourself, because you're not in for a fun ride. There will be fines. There will be lawsuits, possibly, if they find any violation. So IRS, this is what they're going to go after. They're going to go after back taxes, payroll taxes, as much as 41.5% of the wages that should have been paid but weren't. And they're going to go back 3 years. Yeah, it can add up fast. If the IRS decides that you intentionally did not pay them as employees because you were trying to avoid paying payroll taxes or overtime, then they're going to file criminal charges, and you could spend 1 year in jail, and you could end up paying $500,000 in penalties for making mistakes. So Okay, the Department of Labor, what they're going to go after is they're going to go after the back wages for up to 3 years as well. And they will levy fines for improper record keeping, and they will do audits, and if they determine penalties are going to be assessed, they will go after penalties, because if there is some hint of intentional acts on your part, you will be penalized greatly. So brace yourself. Okay, how are we going to avoid this? Well, I want you to begin by asking yourself, are my workers really in business for themselves, or are they economically dependent on the company? And that's how we decide if it's an employee or an independent contractor. I wish so badly I could tell you and read to you the exact language of the law, and then we can decide, oh, this is why they are an independent contractor. We can't do that, unfortunately. It's a balancing test. It is very fact specific, and we've got to look at control. And so there's lots of different factors with control. Basically, if you have more control over that worker, they're probably an employee. And most of the time, I have found that the workers being paid as independent contractors are probably employees. So you really need to take a step back and look at your how you're doing it with the people that you employ, whether it's independent contractors, freelancers, whatever it is. If you're not paying them as employees, really take notes and start looking at this to determine if you should be paying them through payroll. All right, I think the best way to do this is let's follow through an example. Let's use a cleaning person, somebody that you bring in to come and clean your office, your restaurant, wherever your place of business is, your retail shop, whatever it is. I just want to keep it very basic today to give you something to work with. So it's a cleaner, all right. And we'll just say it's a male to keep it simple today. All right, we're looking at control, right? Control. How much control do you have over that person? All right, the cleaner. Are you in control of their schedule, their work schedule? So do you set their work schedule? Are you saying you have to come to my place of business and clean every day from 5 until 9 o'clock at night? If you are, they're probably an employee. Okay. Again, it's a balancing test, but I'm gonna keep going back and forth. So you don't just look at each individual item. You got to balance it on how much control you have with everything we talked about today. Okay. So if you're not in control of their schedule, they set their schedule, so not much control. Does that worker do cleaning jobs for other businesses, or are you the only one? That's very important. If they are doing cleaning jobs for other companies, that lessens the amount of control you have, and that favors independent contractor more than employee. If you are the only business they are doing cleaning jobs for, that's going to seem more like an employee and not an independent contractor. Does this cleaning person's duties overlap with your other employees' duties? Do you have anybody else that is considered an employee that is also cleaning? Are they overlapping at all? Again, if so, then you may need to separate that out, because it gives the impression that they're really an employee. If you already have someone that's an employee doing that similar or same type of work, they could be an employee. All right. Does this cleaning person, does he have his own employees that work for him? So does he show up according to his own schedule and bring a couple of his employees to help clean your office? If so, it's leaning more towards independent contractor. If not, maybe he is an employee. Okay. Who furnishes the cleaning equipment, the cleaning supplies? Is it you, or is it the cleaning person? If the cleaning person is bringing all of their own supplies, they are economically dependent upon their own situation. They're not dependent on you. You're not providing the equipment or the supplies that he or she needs to clean your office. So if they're not providing it and you are, that's probably more leaning towards like an employee. If the cleaner brings their own supplies, their own equipment, probably an independent contractor. All right. Does this cleaner have his own business? Is he set up with an LLC, a corporation, some type of legal entity? Has he registered his business with the state of Utah? How do you pay the cleaner? Do you write a check to him individually, or are you writing out to his business? That will play a very important role in determining whether they're an employee or an independent contractor. Because if they have their own business already set up, they're invoicing you, and they have their own employees, it's looking more like an independent contractor situation than an employee. Plus, if they're working for other businesses. So, something to think about. All right, do you have an independent contractor agreement in place with this cleaner? If not, you may want to get one. If you can determine that you have not much control over them, they are their own business, you pay the business, not the individual. They have filled out a W-9, they have their own tax ID number, they invoice you, they are in control of their hours, they own their own cleaning equipment and supplies, then putting a valid agreement in place just substantiates more evidence for you to prove that they are really an independent contractor and not an employee. All right, anything else? Are you training the worker? Are you providing any benefits to that independent contractor that you provide to your employees? I wouldn't do that. One thing I want you to think about, even if you hire somebody for a short term, so you just need someone to come in and work summer hours. You've got a seasonal type of company and it gets really busy in the summer. Short term does not mean they're independent contractors. They can still be considered employees because we're looking at the control issue. Are you in control of their hours? Are you in control of what they use to do their job? Are you in control? Are you paying them individually? Are you paying their company? You've got to look at the whole picture and balance it. So just to wrap it up, if that cleaning person has his own company, that's who you pay. They set their hours, own equipment, own supplies. They invoice you and they regulate the hours that they come and clean. Probably an independent contractor. Probably not an employee. Any control, if control leans heavy, then if you have any question at all, please give us a call or call another attorney so that you can figure out for sure if you are going to be in trouble. If you're crossing the line and you're not paying them correctly and you've misclassified them as an independent contractor when they are really an employee. All right. If the classification is found to be a scam just to avoid paying overtime or payroll taxes, a court will not hesitate at all to call you on it and hold you fully responsible for that misclassification. I hope I'm scaring you because this is a very common issue going on in the state of Utah with employers, and the government is out to get this fixed. So I see it almost every day with businesses that reach out to us that they probably have misclassified, or there's just a couple of things that they could change in how they're treating that worker to be on the right path for classification. So don't be that company that deliberately misclassifies workers in an attempt to cut costs, because it really isn't fair to those companies who are trying to do things right, who are following the rules. And it ends up hurting the worker because they don't get the benefits of Social Security and unemployment and workers' comp that they deserve if they really are employees. So my question I'm ending on today, are your people classified correctly? See you next time. Thanks for joining us.